Hey everybody, welcome back to Tech Odyssey. So normally I review things. That's what I do here. But I also talk about other emerging tech topics and things that I think are important in the tech space. And today is one such day. Now, this actually started about 2 days ago. It's a very, very important topic, talking about Apple and their invasion of your privacy on your phone. Basically scanning your phone, looking for bad pictures or media that are on there that they could pass off to the authorities. And this isn't by any means supposed to be a scare tactic video, but that's effectively what's happening. Apple is creating this program, which they're going to bring online, I think this fall, on iOS, on iPadOS, macOS, where they can scan your phone, not just your iCloud, not just where you host your files like some other companies do already, but on your iPhone, scan your images that are on your phone to look for pictures and media of child exploitation and abuse, and then forward those basically to a third party, the National Center for Missing and Endangered Children, I believe is what it's called, and then to the authorities and locking your phone if that happens. And I think most people can universally agree that's not a bad thing. We want these people to be caught. We want the offenders of these crimes dealing with children to be locked away for a long time. Go away, far away from society. Our children need to be protected. They're our most valuable asset. But what's happening is our privacy and our individual rights are dying in the process at the hand of Apple. Not at the hand of the government, not at the hand of an accountable politician, somebody who has been voted into office to protect us, to protect our rights. No, this is an individual company who is free from all of these things. And that's very troublesome. We're going to talk about that in this video. But before we get into that, I do want to say if this is your first time stopping by the channel, thank you for being here. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. Let's talk about this really, really big privacy issue. There are some distinctions to be made here, and I'm going to try and make this as concise and as helpful as possible. Basically, we have rights to privacy, right? I mean, that's really the expectation we have in the United States. If you live in another country, you may not have an expectation of privacy, so this might not be something that's as near and dear to your heart. But the problem is that Apple is a worldwide company. They operate everywhere. There are iPhones all over the world. So this is a program that could, in the hands of Apple, working with other countries, be a way to hand off surveilled information that they do. They have taken the onus to try and do things to make the world more safe. And yeah, that's good. Like, it's kind of an altruistic thing maybe. But the problem is that when you start invading people's privacy in the name of good, you are eroding people's privacies and protections. And where does that stop? You know, it might start off with child endangerment and abuse, and it could go to other pornography. It could go to drugs. It could go to other crimes. It could go to things, and I think most of us generally agree that, yeah, crimes are bad. But if you get to a point where we're talking about behavior, or we're talking about things that maybe in one country might be okay and might not be okay in the other country, or things that might be generally on the fence but might be just sort of a behavior control mechanism because maybe Apple thinks it's hate speech. Maybe Apple thinks that it's something that it's offensive to other people. Maybe they're trying to cut that off at the source. And we see this with Twitter all the time. You could put something on Twitter and it can get flagged, and then other people won't be able to see it, and you could get like your account blocked or suspended. People can report it. That stuff could theoretically start happening on your phone. What if Apple decides to just unanimously lock your phone because you say something that might be considered offensive by somebody else, and then or they pass it along to police in New York, where you can, get cited for saying offensive things to people. At least I believe so. I'm going to try and backtrack this a little bit. Basically, here's what's happening. Apple has created this program that's going to go online, and this is going to be for macOS, iPadOS. This is going to affect Apple products, Apple computers, phones, tablets, basically anything Apple. And they're going to scan your media on your phone, on your device, on your computer, and look for these imagery and media that deal with child abuse and exploitation. And then they're going to pass that on to this agency, and then it's going to go to the police. Your computer's going to get locked. Your phone's going to get locked if this happens. And look, I don't want to get into the semantics of that too much because we all agree that's bad. But the problem is they're using something that people generally believe is bad to further something that is very, very dangerous. And we saw this before. Surveillance is always bad because surveillance, even if in the name of good, erodes your privacy and your rights. And then you ultimately could one day find yourself in the wrong position, even if it might not be something that's illegal. With the way the world's going, it's not too far from reality that there could be something that's not even a crime that could end up causing you problems that at one point in time maybe Apple or somebody else is scanning for. For instance, if they were to give this technology to China, and then China said, we want you to surveil everyone's phones and look for pictures and videos of people who are protesting. Protesting is a coveted, valued, time-honored tradition and right here in the United States. If you're in Hong Kong, you're in China, you could get jailed or killed for this stuff. So you can see where I'm talking about here. It's not necessarily something that is completely evil or wrong or bad. It could be okay one place and not okay somewhere else. And where do we draw that line, right? Well, in the United States, we have protections, we have freedoms, we have due process. You can't just have a cop walk into your house and search your house without having a warrant. They have to have probable cause for that. Well, when it's iPhone, when it's Apple, they don't have to do that because they're not a government institution. There is no such thing as due process when it comes to a civilian company that owns the space that you're storing your media on. They sold you the phone. They have a back door to get into it because you're uploading it into the iCloud. They are not accountable to you. And that's the scary part about all this, because it's not that the government is infringing on your right, it's that a company is. But the thing is you gave the company permission by using the phone, by using the iCloud and all sorts of other things. So it's a whole other discussion to have with regard to the mechanism behind that. But ultimately, you can get around this by turning off the iCloud. But just so you know, by default, whenever you set up an iPhone, the iCloud backup is turned on. So if you have iCloud storage turned off, you never have to worry about this. You're okay. You never ever have to worry about this until they find a way around that. And I think when they say they're going to scan the files on your phone or whatever, a lot of places, they scan the stuff before they upload it and they back it up. You can take a picture on your phone, go home, connect to Wi-Fi, or if you have backup turned on for mobile data, and then you go grab your iPad, it's there already. They sync this stuff with the cloud all the time, and they scan this stuff because, of course, the iCloud is their personal property. It's their server. It's where they store everything. They want things to be safe that come on there. And they do have a vested interest in not allowing the proliferation of crimes to happen on their network. Thinking about it from an Apple standpoint, it makes sense. Hey, if there's this terrible crime that's being committed and people are using our service to do it, we want to stop that. I get that. I really do. That makes a lot of sense. But the way that they're going about doing that is something that infringes on everybody's individual freedoms, your privacy, and the protection of your data, because then they're going to possibly, that could be opened up in a numerous amount of ways for different governments, different entities. Because here's the thing. It's not like the government's getting a search warrant and saying, here, you comply with this. Apple would probably say no to that. That's typically what they do. Even when there was that terrible terrorist event years ago in California, the FBI, they're like, look, there's no back door. We're not giving you access to this stuff. But if they say, okay, well, here, we're going to surveil this stuff and we're going to open it up to this, we're going to open it up to this, and then they just start, you can see where this could possibly go. And all of these things that end up being bad, especially like the PATRIOT Act, that was something that we thought was so good. We're going to open up all these surveillance programs, all this stuff. Don't worry, Americans, you're going to be fine. Your privacy is going to be protected. We're just going to go after the terrorists. And we see how that turned out. One of the worst things ever in the history of mankind as far as privacy and violation of rights by the government. So, looking at this with the Apple ecosphere, it's basically happening in the name of good by a private company as opposed to a government agency. So you don't have due process, you don't have these rights, you don't have anything other than just turning off the iPhone. And then there's the other question, well, maybe it's time to get rid of iPhone. Now, this is not a novel thing, though. There are already a lot of other places that search their cloud storage for this stuff. This is just the first time that it's happening on your device. Now, I don't know how much that's being active, though. It's I don't know if they're actively going in and scanning that stuff, or if it's at the point in time where it's going to be loaded and backed up onto the iCloud. You see what I'm saying? There's a little bit of difference there. I don't know if they're individually going in and peeking into people's phones and their computers, or if it's just at the point in time when the image is created and gets ready to be stored on the iCloud. So I think that's probably more closer to the truth. because it would be a huge, massive, active surveillance program the other way versus a passive one that just skims the information as it's beamed up to the cloud. So there are ways you can get around it, disable the cloud. But ultimately, the problem I have here is the way that they're going about doing this, because you don't have an opportunity to opt out of this. This is not something that you agreed to when you bought the phone. This is something that they have decided to do on their own. They're forcing you to live with it, because if you want to use that phone, now that's what you're subject to, unless, of course, you turn iCloud off. But if you turn iCloud off, you can't back up your phone, you basically can't back up your phone or your photos anymore, and that's problematic. And that's one of the great things we love about iPhone. So you effectively are cutting yourself off from the iCloud, which gives you extra storage space, and it gives you all these extra benefits. So it's very troubling and concerning. Now, yeah, obviously, I'm not storing any of this stuff on my phone. You're not storing any of this stuff on your phone. Bad people do this. And yeah, they'll stop doing it. And then it's just going to be left to a world where, okay, well, let's hope they don't expand it to something else. And if they do, what if they don't tell us about it? What if one day all of a sudden they decide that, okay, this is bad, or let's say you're traveling and then you're spotted somewhere where there's a protest going on and you're just taking pictures because you're there as a tourist, and all of a sudden your phone gets disabled, you get back to your hotel room and you get arrested. I mean, it's not that far-fetched from reality. These are things that we have to think about, because many people agree what they're going after is a very, very noble and good thing. It could save lives. It could save children. That's great. We love that stuff. But the problem is the erosion of your individual freedoms and protection and privacy, which we hold very sacred and very dear. And we don't want to give that stuff up. So the other problem is how much are they going to cooperate with the government for other things that they might be looking for? Because here's the thing. This is not... this is basically it's like a back door, but it's not, because this is an individual on their own program Apple has started, and then they're just going to hand the information off to the authorities, and then it's basically like a voluntary handoff of information. I equated this the other day to being a property owner, and yeah, if you own a piece of property and somebody comes on it and commits a crime, and then you call the police, there's no violation of your rights there, because you're on somebody else's property and they see a crime being committed. They're just notifying the authorities. That is what I equate this to. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of legal arguments. There's probably going to be lawsuits over this stuff. I can't even imagine how this is all going to go down. But Apple has tons and tons of attorneys, and they've got tons of money. They've got probably some of the best defense team in the world. I'm sure they've looked over this for a long time. But I also don't like the attitude that they're taking with this, because it's basically like, look, we're going to do this and you're going to live with it. How is the company that I bought a phone from, as a piece of my personal property, is now subject to basically inspection, and somebody else is acting as basically a surveillance state going into my phone? It's mine, not yours. Now, granted, yes, there's the agreement that you have in allowing them into your phone by backing this stuff up to the iCloud, but it's something, I don't like this attitude. I don't like the direction they're headed with this. I don't like this. It just really irks me, because we've seen this happen before, and everything always happens in the name of good, and then it ends up bad and evil and twisted, and then we're the victim, and you can't get these protections back. Fortunately, you can do something about it. You can turn off the iCloud. Also, you could leave iPhone. And this right here is the biggest, probably now, one of the biggest reasons why we still need BlackBerry in the world. Because on a BlackBerry 10 phone, that wouldn't happen. It just plain and simple wouldn't. And unfortunately, they're going to be end of life here soon. But there is hope with the new BlackBerry that's coming whenever it gets here. One day that'll be amazing. And hopefully we won't have those issues, but it's still running Android. And this is one of the biggest things in the world now. It's like, we need competition. We need more manufacturers. We need BlackBerry to make another operating system. Is really what we need. We need our own security. We are not in control of our security anymore. We gave up so much of that. And people used to be very, very cautious, as they should be, of companies like Apple and Google, who are going to protect your information. And it's okay. You can allow us to have these permissions and this access because it's harmless. You're not doing anything. We're not, all the things that we gave up in the name of convenience so we could have access to this great world of the internet on our phone and all these things we could do. And now it's coming back to bite us in the butt, because now it's becoming a gross invasion of our privacy. So I think this right here is one of the biggest reasons why we still need competition. We need other phone companies and manufacturers. We need security from BlackBerry to step up and give us this level of autonomy and individuality and security on our phone, so we can control who's coming in and out of our phone, who has access to our data, and what things we're giving up in exchange for using the internet and access to the outside world. So this is very, very troublesome, and a lot of people who are a lot more educated on this have been taking stabs at this for the last couple of days. This is something for me to talk to you guys, my audience, to let you know, look, this is happening. If you're using an iPhone, be aware. And where do we go forward with this? And I wanted to talk to you about this, give you my interpretation, my spin. Well, not spin, it's facts. It's information. It's out there. This is not something that's rumor. So I thought this was a really important conversation to have outside of the normal, because this is a very, very big thing, and this is something that's going to be debated for a long time, and we're going to probably look back on this in 10 years and see probably what a horrible, horrible moment in our history was when it comes to invasion and protection of our privacy. So that's all I've got in this video. Please go to the comment section. We'll talk about this. We'll discuss it more. We'll have at it and flesh this out a little bit and see where it goes. But really important, guys. Really, really important topic. So that's all I've got. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. And as always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you guys next time.